This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, everybody. I am Ricardo Lightbourne. Thank you for joining us. Well, a special committee has been appointed by the government to look into the pending expiration of portion of the Hawks Creek Agreement. The man at the helm of Grand Bahama's physician, Dr. Marcus Bethel, says, well, the group is currently discussing the initial plans for action. Well, for more on that, let's go to Joan Davis-Rowe.
The committee has been officially appointed and introduced by the government to examine certain provisions of the Hawkswood Creek Agreement with respect to the exemption on business license fees and real property tax, set to expire in August of this year. Chairman of this August body, Dr. Marcus Bethel, says they are focused, determined, and up to the challenge.
Prime Minister, let me take this opportunity, first of all, to thank you for the confidence that you have reposed in this committee. Our intention is to follow the mandate as is laid out in our terms of reference. It's a rather broad mandate, but one that we expect and hope will be transformative in moving Freeport and Grand Bahama forward in a positive way.
Recognizing the mammoth task that lies ahead, the local medical practitioner and former senator says the committee plans to hit the ground running. This as it attempts to not only return Grand Bahama to its former glory, but to establish this island as a thriving miracle destination.
Given that the provisions under consideration expire in the early part of August 2015, that we should work as diligently as trying to get our report into the government for their consideration and policy determination within 8 weeks. That may be overly ambitious, but we will be using that as our target, that within 8 weeks we will have concluded our work. We're going to be supported by a secretariat as outlined. We also have a consultant. Of course, Mr. Albert Gray was mentioned, but we have the authority, I think, to bring on other consultants as we deem fit. We want to make this process as inclusive and as widespread throughout the community as possible, devoid of partisan politics, because our job is to see that Freeport and Grand Bahama assume its rightful role in the economic development of the Bahamas. We know that the potential is here. We now have to find the keys to unlock that potential and to ensure that Grand Bahama is able to bring about the kind of impact in our economy that is needed to make the Bahamas the greatest and most prosperous little nation on this earth.
Dr. Bethel says their mission not impossible, their vision clear, and above all, it's all-inclusive.
At some point during this 8, maximum 12-week period, we will be holding, as is necessary, town meetings to which the community would be invited to express their views. The Secretariat, I anticipate, will also open an email process which will allow those who don't like to show up at meetings but are very vocal on the news waves and now with the internet through emails to send us their thoughts so that we open the waves for any and everybody to have a potential say in what is going on. So civil society, I want to emphasize, is going to be an important part of this. That includes the church, unions, and all stakeholders in the community will be consulted or asked to present their views to this committee.
Joan Davis-Rowe, ZNS Network News.
Well, $28 million invested in the construction of a new office complex for the Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. The groundbreaking of that facility taking place today on Oak Street. Now, Kimberly Mullings was there.
Registered in December 1979 with only 45 members, a year later accruing under $37,000 in shares, things have shifted. Presently, the credit union's membership is at 2,460, with assets totaling over $28 million. The Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited's head office is in New Providence, with a sub-office on Grand Bahama Island. With growth comes expansion. The credit union held a groundbreaking ceremony Monday afternoon on an Oak Street property. Executives from Nassau came down for the momentous occasion, one of them being Board of Directors Chairman Sheila Smith.
This has indeed been a vision of the board for some time now. And this groundbreaking ceremony today for our office complex is the beginning of that reality. My vision, along with the current board of directors, is to see the continued growth and development of this credit union in Grand Bahama and also to establish more branches in other family islands. We thank you for allowing us to serve you here these many years, but we believe that the time has come for us to provide even better service to you and your family.
Deputy Director of the Cooperative Development Department, Judy Simmons, also brought remarks on behalf of the Honorable V. Alfred Gray, the Minister of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Local Government.
Minister V. Alfred Gray, a devout public servant himself, has asked me to convey these words of Sir Winston Churchill to you. Never give up, never give up, never give up, never give up. He notes that your commitment, diligence, and pursuit of excellence has paid off here in Grand Bahama. I can see it. The Ephesus to be constructed here to my right will no doubt serve as a monument in this community.
The Freeport office complex is scheduled to be completed by October of this year. Kimberly Mullings, ZNS Network News.
Well, two males, 20-year-old Trevor Noah Roll of Clark Avenue and 17-year-old juvenile of Trip Circle, were taken to court today and charged with 7 counts of armed robbery. The matters all taking place between January 21st and February 27th of this year. Roll and the juvenile were remanded to a magistrate's prison until the trial. The first trial is set for May 12th. A second trial will be held on June 9th. And police are on the hunt for several men who are wanted for questioning on various criminal matters. For more on this, let's go to Italia Hall.
Police in Abaco and Grand Bahama are asking for the public's assistance in locating 6 wanted suspects. Henry Pierre Paul, 29 years of age, is wanted by police in Abaco for causing grievous harm and breach of the Supreme Court order. He resides in the Mud Abaco and also frequents urban areas in Freeport, Grand Bahama. He stands at 5 feet 11 inches in height and is of dark brown complexion, heavy built, and weighs 200 pounds. John Mark Titus is wanted by police in Abaco as well for armed robbery. He is 23 years old, of the Mud Abaco, and frequents Call Gardens and the Ghetto, Grand Bahama. He stands at 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighs approximately 150 pounds, dark brown in complexion, and of medium build. Louis Cadet is wanted by police in Abaco for murder. He is 20 years old, of the Mud Abaco, and frequents the Ghetto in Grand Bahama. He stands at 5 feet 11 inches tall, ranging between 120 and 140 pounds, dark brown complexion, and average build. 29-year-old Marco Husue is wanted by police in Abaco for armed robbery. He is from the Pigeon Peak area, Abaco, and frequents the Ghetto. He stands at 5 feet 10 inches in height, weighs between 130 and 150 pounds, dark brown complexion, and slim build. Henry Pierre Paul, John Mark Titus, Louis Cadet, and Marco Husue are considered armed and extremely dangerous, and all should be approached with caution. Maxime Baptiste is wanted by police in Abaco for incest. He is 36 years old, of the Mud Abaco, and frequents Grand Bahama. He stands at 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighs 160 pounds, brown complexion, and slim built. The subject should be approached with caution if seen. Bernard Jerome Ferguson, 24 years of age, is wanted by police in Grand Bahama for 7 counts of stealing from a dwelling house and major damage. His known address is number 200 Eleuthera Drive, Hawksbill, Grand Bahama. He stands at 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighs 193 pounds, medium brown complexion, and average build. The subject should be approached with caution. If seen, you should contact the police in Abaco at 367-2560, Grand Bahama at 350-3107 or 8-911-919, or call your nearest police station. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
And stay with us, everybody. There's more news after this.
Bringing news that matters to you. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition.
And welcome back. Walter Parker Primary School welcoming a special guest. The Bahamian pastor who now resides in the United States had some pretty good advice for parents and students. Megan Shepard fills us in.
What they are today, the world of tomorrow will be. Hi, I'm Evangelist Ricardo Miller, and for the past 18 years, I've dedicated my life to reaching boys and girls, equipping the next generation.
Pastor Ricardo Miller was born in New Providence and later relocated to Dallas, Texas. He says school was never his thing, but thanks to good people in his life, he was able to redirect himself onto the right path. Pastor Miller visited the Walter Parker Primary School on Wednesday morning to motivate the students and challenge them to be all God has called them to be.
The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The truth of the matter is, you are what you think. And so we're going to talk about reading. We're going to talk about what goes in is what's going to come out. And so I'm hoping that they capture this message, because this is a critical junction in their life. This is a critical time for them to basically be motivated so that they can grasp hold of everything the school is trying to provide so that they can be who they were born to be. Well, kids learn differently, and I understand that I grew up in the Bahamas, left school with only an attendance certificate, 12 years after left R&Bailey, but I changed later because I started to apply certain principles for learning, and I believe that's what these kids have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge them to capture the understanding that education is important and that their style of learning may be different from the other, but they can still be great.
Pastor Miller also notes that it is important to stay away from persons who would hinder them from achieving all God has in store for them. He's also calling on parents to be more active in the lives of their kids.
We're going to talk about the idea that association makes you who you are, and so getting connected to the right people, right friends, making sure that you're connected with your teacher, connecting with organizations in the community that can help you. Inside of you is potential, but watch this, your association matters, and that's a lot of what I'm going to talk about.
Pastor Miller says he also plans to visit other islands to spread his motivational message. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Well, they've only been around for a few years, but they've represented the Bahamas far and wide. We're talking about the Grand Bahama Youth Choir, and they recently were recognized as ambassadors of the country. Let's go to Kimberly Mullings for all of this.
The Grand Bahama Youth Choir is a dream come true. 6 years ago, the choir's artistic director, Kevin Tomlinson, started having practice sessions with 55 students in the auditorium of Christ the King. Tomlinson says since then, the choir has blossomed into so much more.
I am really proud of them. They work hard, and they have to have a lot of guts to deal with me. But nevertheless, I'm firm in my discipline. I believe in having a disciplined program. Without discipline, there is no program. And so therefore, you see the fruits now of hard work.
The Grand Bahama Youth Choir has traveled throughout the Bahamas and the United States. The choir was recently invited to visit Cuba, Brazil, and even Finland. Tomlinson says the idea is to represent the Bahamas, but Grand Bahama Island in particular.
And now 6 years later, we're getting pinned to be official ambassadors for this island. We've traveled extensively throughout the States area. I got a chance to be the guest of some very prominent people like Mayor Andrew Young and Pastor Marvin L. Winan and some other people in New York. It's just so much that we've done.
To be recognized by the Ministry of Tourism is something Tomlinson is proud of. Being ambassadors of the country and the island of Grand Bahama is what the choir is all about. I'm
always proud of these children, and I see the reflection of it when I go in the community, as I always say. And when you see persons, even down to the guy by R&D Plaza washing the car, who just say, you know, man, those kids sing and it made them feel good. We represent the community. We are the community of Grand Bahama.
Kimberly Mullings, ZNS Network News.
Well, the musical talent of our students on display today at the National Arts Festival. Let's take a look. And just had a flashback watching those kids in terms of my talent. Well, that ain't much, right? But sports comes next. And turn our attention now to sports. In Eco Grand Nita Doherty Primary School Softball League Championships. The champions were crowned. Kimberly Mullings was on the softball beat.
Primary school softball sure is fun. This year, the Sunland Baptist Academy Stingers came out on top in both boys and girls. The Lady Stingers defeat the Loose Yard Eagles 9-1, and Miss Siaja Kelly was named MVP. Coach Charlene Hamilton says she couldn't be more proud of the girls, who worked exceptionally hard this year.
Last year we came third, and I said most of my players went up to grade 7, and I said this year, you know what, I really tried and I really worked hard with them. Even on Saturdays we were out practicing, and hard work, it does pay off, you understand? So even though I'm in awe, I'm really in awe for this victory.
On the opposite side of the field, the Stingers boys were busy dusting the Walter Parker Pacers. The end score 21-7. Jordan Harvey, the MVP. Coach Stephen Parkinson says the Stingers came to win.
We knew this was going to happen, but it's good to see it come to fruition, you know. All the hard work and practices and the games and the scrimmages and everything. The preceding years, everybody pretty much counted us out until we started winning. And now the senior boys just won their championship. Us winning this championship, the girls winning their championship. So now we at the stake.
After the dugouts cleared, the Stingers happily headed back to school. Kimberly Mullings, ZNS Total Sports.
And the Grand Bahama Ladies Premier Soccer League, folks, with 2 games played on the weekend for you. Dartmouth defeated Barcelona 4-1. Gabrielle Sims scored 2 goals. Catherine Ellis and Abigail Sims both with the goal. Mia Wiley also had the lone goal for Barcelona. Now, Chelsea put away Real Madrid 3-1. Shannon Albury had 2 goals in this one. Gabrielle Hall with 1. As for Chelsea, Hannah Jo Sims had a goal as well. And those guys had an awful lot of fun. It's good to have the ladies playing soccer on the weekends. Let's look at sports. When we come back, we'll wrap it up.